Very happy to be here. I've not been here for a year or more, so it's really lovely to kind of come back. Someone's got to. If you don't know, that's the heckler over there is my husband, and someone has to work to pay the bills. No. I'm going to share with you a little bit about this space, this in-between space, and this is something you may not be able to see that. These are quotes or posts on social media or on LinkedIn that I've seen over the years. Maybe it's something that you have seen too, or maybe you have posted something similar to that. Going through some changes, could use some good vibes, send them my way. 15 years into my career, I'm starting to wonder if this is what I actually want to be doing with my life. So has anyone here actually gone through like a major transition? Or you relate, or have you gone through transition? Yeah. Anyone else gone through a major transition? Ditched corporate? Yeah, look, and then the nods in the head, ditched corporate. My background is that I went straight from university, did my master's, and then I ended up working in the fitness industry as a training director. And then from there, had a turning point in my life and thought, I don't really want to be doing this anymore. And then I fell into lecturing at university. Like, I don't even know why. I just didn't want to work in fitness anymore. I didn't want to work for this crazy woman who I think now, in reflection, she was probably going through perimenopause. But I thought she was this crazy woman that I was working for. And I took the first thing that appeared, which was a lecturing position at a university on undergraduate and master's courses, and turned up and go, why am I doing this? And stayed there for 9 years. So I don't know if you've ever done that before, where you've kind of gone, I'm bailing, I'm jumping ship, and then you pick up the next thing that's there, and then you go 5 years later, 10 years later, like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Or perhaps you've given up employment, taken up, think I'll go freelance, and then again, 15 years later, what am I doing with this? So I think this is something that, perhaps you can relate to, some of you relate to here, or you may know people that you've kind of seen that. Have you had a best friend that kind of just keeps making those mistakes again? And you go, here we go again, all right? Whether it's a relationship or whether it's a job or anything in life. So it's this middle phase, and this is what Grace in the Middle is about. I've used it, if any one of you have followed me on social media or on LinkedIn, I talk about a liminal space. And it's a space where we kind of in a hallway, and you don't really know where to go and what's next, really. And I've certainly gone through that in my life, gone from fitness into lecturing at university. And then after 9 years of lecturing at university, it was all about bums on seats, because the more bums on seats you have, the more money the department makes. And I thought, this is no longer about the student experience. And so this was not for me. And so I bailed, I'll go work for myself. And then not having a clue about being self-employed, you go, I'll go work for myself. And then you go, oh shit, right? Nobody's told me all the stuff that I need to be doing. So I do that. Then I panicked, and then I thought, let me get a job. And then I get a job in the fitness industry. And then it was just one thing after another. But I actually think everything has led me to where I am today. But the middle spaces, I think, are crucial. And you may be going through it yourself right now. And we don't talk about it enough, I don't think. Or it may be that you've got children or family members that are going through this transitional space. It's from university to their first job. I go and get my nails done pretty much monthly. And she works for herself. Okay, Carla works for herself. And she's fantastic. And she said, I've discovered her through COVID, through lockdown, and I've kept going. And she says that she gets young women particularly who come to her to get their nails done, and they're straight out of college or uni and it's their first job. and they come and see her, and she's the only person outside their family that they actually meet, because they've gone from online study to a job where they work from home online. So they don't have actual human contact at all. And I think like when we were working, I don't know how old, but when we were working, a lot of conversation happened at the photocopying machine, at having coffee, going to the kitchen and stuff. They don't have that. So when they go and see her once a month or so to get their nails done for an hour, they just talk to her. They just offload because they haven't, and so they haven't had this nice transition. They've just gone from one into the next because it was a job, right? So the middle spaces is something that I think we should just embrace a little bit more, and that it's okay. So, and for me, it's taken a while. This last final phase, I've known Nikki, how long have I known you? A long time. 12 years. Maybe. And do you remember we did a workshop years ago called Grace Under Fire?
Yeah, that's where we met the lovely Laura Joyce.
Was it?
That's how I started my business, was through that workshop.
Grace Under Fire, yeah. About like, what do you do when you feel like you're under fire all the time? And sometimes as women, you feel like you need to do it all, okay? So I've got a little interaction here, a little quiz for you. You grab your phone out. Where are you in this space? And some of you may think, yeah, or no, I'm okay. I'm not going through a transition, and that's fine too. But if you can, it'll take you less than 2 minutes, just to see where you are on this quiz. Whether you are in transition, whether you're not. This is where I kind of need a bit of music, really. And I will save you the singing because I can't sing.
I'll second that.
Yes. And I'll give you a result of one of 4 phases of where you are. All right, so wherever you are in that middle season, whatever archetype you came up with, it's about recognizing the middle season. And I think we go through the middle season. Our middle seasons can vary. They can be very small or they can be very large, okay? And it can be completely life transforming or could be not. I still think that we need to kind of understand where we are in this process, because it's too often we're raised in a society where we are encouraged to just move on. I come from Malaysia, and so the expectation was that the expectation was to just get married after school. My mum was like, you don't need to go to university. Why do you need to go to university? You're going to get married and have children anyway. All right, so that was the expectation. And I was like, yeah, no. My brother, on the other hand, the expectation was that he ended up going to Cambridge and did his MBA, etc. So there's different expectations. But I wanted to go to university. If anything, just to get out of the house, to leave Malaysia and come to the UK. So I came over to the UK, did my A-levels up in North Yorkshire. And then that was it. I haven't been home since. Because that was it. But that was the expectation. And then when I got married the first time, the second time here. But when I got married the first time, then it was like, are you buying a house? So there was the whole expectation of getting a mortgage. And then once I got the mortgage, it was like, are you going to have kids now? And to a point where my mum actually said to me, she said, why don't you have children and bring your child back to Malaysia, and I'll bring your child up? Like, on the one hand, it'd be really good, wouldn't it? Like, go, Mom, have my babies and bring them up. But you're like, if I'm going to go through that, then I want to spend time with my child. But it was a different expectation. There was no time to really kind of stop and think. And so what I automatically did was just rebel and go the other way, rather than actually sit in the middle season and actually think, do you know what? What do I really want? Not throw my toys out of the pram. No, I'm not doing that, Mum. So here are 3 tips for you that I found for myself going through middle seasons in my life. So these are rooted in yoga philosophy. And for me, I've been doing yoga for 30 plus years, and it's not so much about the shapes that you create on a yoga mat, although they're great. It's more about how you live your life, all right, and the philosophy. Pause before you pivot is the first one. So in yoga, it tells you to draw inward. Has anyone here done any yoga? A little tiny bit? You have to slow down. You have to slow down and you have to think. And you have to start to feel what's happening inside your body, right? And so if you can start to do that, not just on a yoga mat, but also in life. Just pause before you pivot and allow your attention to drop inward and think, okay, am I about to react or am I about to respond? Because I think there is a difference between responding and reacting to the situation, okay? My mum, you're going to have kids. Bring it back to Malaysia. Let me have them. Do you know what my response to her was? This is so bad. I actually said, why don't you have kids, Mum? Go adopt. Like that, that was like not very nice, is it? And I actually said to her, go and adopt. You know, and all she wanted was she wanted grandchildren. She just, you know, she wanted to be a grandma. Like between me and my brother, she's got one grandchild and that is it. And he lives in Paris. And he's just been offered a job with Canada Goose. I think as a designer, having worked for Kenzo and stuff. And he's not going back to Thailand. He's not going back to the Far East, right? He's very happy in Paris. You know, so I can understand where my mum's coming from. But, you know, I reacted. I don't have children. So is it then the effect of that, me saying that to my mom and then going, I never ended up having children at all? Maybe I was subconsciously rebelling against that? I don't know. I don't know. So pause before you pivot. The second thing is surrender to the timeline. How many of you have gone through change and you go, yeah, I want it to happen now? I went to see my yoga teacher and he said that when he closed one chapter of his life, and I trained with him in Bristol like 20 plus years ago, and he said when he gave up, he shut the yoga school down and he thought enough's enough and he closed that business. And he thought the next chapter would open within the next year. 5 years. 5 years. He sat in this middle space because he wasn't going to just pivot. He was going to wait for the right time. 5 years. And the last time I saw him was about, when did my dad die? 23. So I saw him in May 23, and he says, Ansi, you are going through a transition. Don't come back and see me till you've come out the other side. That was what he told me. You know, and he says, you just need to sit with it. However long that's going to take, you sit with it. And I think we're too impatient because we want things to happen straight away. And we kind of feel, oh, I've got bills to pay and all, you know, like kids' mouths to feed and all of that. You know, but the timeline is not really up to us. If we jump ship, we could end up in a job. And then 15 years later, why am I still doing this? Because it really doesn't float my boat and it doesn't bring me joy. And we have one life. And if you're not going to be able to live that life joyfully, then why are you doing it? All right. So surrender to the timeline because there is one. And then the third thing really is to trust the whisper and know the difference of that whisper. Are you reacting because underneath the underlying energy of the whisper is fear or is it love? Okay, is it fear or is it love? And I will hands down tell you, because Kim, those of you that know Kim, he's like so laid back. If he's any more laid back, he'd fall over backwards, right? Yes, him. You know, whereas for me, I'm always like, oh no, we got bills to pay, we got this, you know, like my mind's always thinking about that. And maybe it's because I'm Chinese, I'm driven by money, you know, I don't know. But there's the whole, you know, success is measured by a proper job. So I don't have a proper job where my mum is concerned. The only job I've ever had that she recognized is lecturing at a university. Apart from that, teaching yoga or running my own business, she doesn't understand it, right? So it's not a proper job. And so the success, and my brother got an engineering degree MBA, got snapped up by Morgan maybe pre-merger, like many years ago. When he told me that he was getting a job, or he's setting up his own business, I fell off the chair. I was like, he's an employee, he doesn't run his own business. He still runs his own business today. But there's this whole reacting out of fear, and that is my automatic default. My automatic default is, how are we going to pay the bills? That's the automatic thing. How am I going to get the money to go and see my mum? And I said to Laura, I'm going to see her in the first week of October, attempting to travel hand luggage only. Which is fine. I'm just going to see my mum. But now on the way back, I'm going to Dubai, and I've got a big conference there. So it's 2 weeks away, hand luggage only. Do you reckon I can make it? Any tips would be much appreciated. It's the toiletries. I've got some packing cues. It's toiletries. So I know oftentimes that initial whisper that I get is a whisper from a place of fear. So it's not the right energy. So then I go back to the first bit about pausing before I pivot, to really start to listen to that whisper, to say whether is this coming from a place of love and calm, or is it because I'm now going to react instead? All right. So literally those are the three. Pause before you pivot. Taking the time here. Yep. Surrendering to the timeline. Take your time with it. There is no rush. Ask yourself now, or maybe you've got kids that are going through it. Transitions happen throughout our lives all the time. And it's, what's the average lifespan of a human being? 70-odd? 70? 78? Yeah, the financial advisors in the room. It's about that. Okay.
4,000 weeks?
4,000 weeks. Oh, well, you can work it out then. How many weeks have you got left? But seriously, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, you're here just the once. Just the once. And if I look back, you think, how many weeks out of the 4,000 weeks have I really wasted? Or even if you think, I haven't wasted it because I've got a good life from it, does it bring you joy? I've got friends who this is where the financial advisors can come into play. People plan for their retirement. They might not get there. So why not create a life that you really want to live now? All right. So some of you asked me what grace in the middle is. Grace in the middle is what I was looking for. And so it's just a little space. How can you live with grace and ease when you're in the middle of what seems like shit? Literally. All right? In the poo, you can... I've got to talk about poo. When it feels like you're in it, how can you, smeared with whatever it is, still live with grace and ease? If you are interested, that is open to founder members. It's mainly audio. And we focus on something each month. Like this month, we're focusing on connection. Not just connection with yourself, but connection with other people and connection with something greater, whatever that might be for you, whether it's the universe, whether it's nature, whether it's God. Okay, we do need at some point, that surrender to the timeline? We have to surrender at some point. So those of you that are control freaks, perfectionists, you can't control it all. Because a lemon might come flying around the corner and hit you smack in the nose, right? How do you deal with that? So can we deal with all of that with grace and ease? So the basis is yoga philosophy. So if you're interested, just have a chat with me, and you can contact me on socials. And yes, I think we've got, if you like yoga, we have free 7 days if you want to come to yoga online or in person in Stanton Drew. And I do have a book as well, for those of you that are interested, called Hard Pressed and Not Crushed. So thank you.
And you have your like little mini retreats as well, don't you?
I do run mini retreats, day retreats. Yeah, I was doing a week in Langkawi Island in Malaysia, and that's next year. That's a holiday, not a retreat. It's a holiday, but it's sold out. So it's November next year. It's sold out. But I'll be doing like day ones in Stanton Drew, so in the Chu Valley. Cool, thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Nancy.
You're welcome.
For a few questions. I open it up to the floor. Hand went straight up there. Go for it.
Just a comment that probably
Sure.
isn't sometimes just doing something is the next day sometimes work. Because I was 21 years old, I think that's 35 years ago, and I left college straight to first job. I just got the first job I could, which was accountancy training. And 35 years later, I left it still, and I'm still doing it. So sometimes,
Yeah,
but I
absolutely.
think you always have to reflect, don't you? Where are you if you're not happy? I mean, I just sort of like duck towards, and I've been an employee, I've had a firm, been an employee again, now my own firm again. So sometimes it
works, absolutely. And maybe, like, I find that the decisions I made when I was younger worked much better. You know, like, I think when we get older, I kind of, maybe there's more at stake sometimes when we kind of start thinking about, you know, am I happy in, you know, my marriage? Am I happy in a lot of other things, you know, my job, etc. It's we were together for over 10 years before we decided to get married, but you know, I think, you know, there's the essence and energy of youth, isn't there? Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
You mentioned your yogi said don't come back and see me. Do you think he could sense it was your transition through grief then? As you mentioned, it was when...
Say that again, sorry.
So when you said you went to see the man that you did your yoga with...
My yoga teacher,
and
yeah.
he said, don't come and see me until you're through that. What could he see, do you think, that made him say, whether you're in a middle...
I think he knew, and deep down now I know that this transition phase that I've been going through is probably the biggest one ever. So I have been involved in the fitness industry with a company called Les Mills, who does body balance and things like that, for 25 years. So I launched a lot of their programs here in the UK, did a lot of training globally. And it was interesting. So as a freelancer, when we then looked at our businesses and to look at our mission and our values and everything else, my values came from Les Mills. It was so ingrained in me, and because I love the company. Anyway, I handed my notice in, and the 27th next week is the last event that I'm going to do. Fly me to Scotland, I'm going to do an event for them. And so it's a massive chunk of my life, 25 years, to put to bed. And so there is an element of grief. They had a event for me last Thursday, and look, I was like, don't make me cry. You don't have waterproof mascara. So, you know, and so there was a lot of grief that I had to go through. When I also saw him, it was a month after my dad had passed, and I wasn't there when my dad passed because he's in Thailand, so I got there for the funeral. And that's a whole different thing, a Thai funeral. They kind of bring out the remains for you to see. I thought they were ashes, but they're not. They're actually crushed bones. Come and see me. They're photographs. They actually lay it out, and they make like a pin person from the bone fragments. It's like, and you like, I mean, talk about closure, right? I kind of went up and went, yeah, that's my dad. And they put it into containers. It's just so weird. So I had that kind of grieving to do. So I think when you're closing a chapter, it depends on how big it is. There is the whole process of dealing with the grief of that, closing that chapter. And I know, like, having been through that, you can easily, I've said yes to stuff, and then I look back and I go, yeah, why did I do that? Or I put so much effort into planning a new program, launch it, and then no bites. Because that's probably not the route I was meant to go down. I'm rushing the timeline as well. So sometimes useful to just sit. So I haven't been back to see him yet. I might be ready.
Any other questions for Anthony?
One for Laura.
One for Laura.
4,000.
4,000 weeks, 5 down in Saturday.
How many years is that then? 4,000 weeks?
79.6.
70. Oh, 79. Is that male, female?
I don't know, it's title of the book. It's different though, isn't it? Male, female.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, yeah.
Yeah.
82 and 84, I think, is the official.
So what, 82 male,
Yeah.
84 female?
Yeah.
That's gone up then, isn't it? The 80s. That's gone up. Cool.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Everyone all good? Okay. Well, Auntie, I'm
Thank
sure we'll
you.
be around with Kim
Yeah.
for a little while afterwards. So grab her, ask questions, go through your quiz. So I'm sure we've all got our
Yeah, and
answers on
honestly,
the
like
quiz.
it is linked to my email list. If you don't want it, just delete yourself, unsubscribe. It's fine. I send out a Sunday paper.
Oh, what was that? Sorry.
I send out a Sunday paper. You get
Yeah,
my
right,
Sunday
yeah,
paper.
Sunday paper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely. All right.
Thank
amazing.
you.
Thanks,